everyone. Today we have the second day of our webinar, Women in Optics, okay? And in general in science. So we would like to introduce today our speaker that we have here from the University of Puerto Rico, and is the Dr. Wandaliz Torres. She is an associate professor and in the Department of the Industrial Engineer here at University of Puerto Rico. And she's working with multivariable statistical learning and data mining, okay? So with that being said, Dr. Wandaliz, the audience is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Larry. I hope everyone can see my slides. Hope everyone is having a good day and a good morning. Thank you for the invitation again. I was a little bit surprised by the association asking me or inviting me to talk about my story as a woman in STEM, and particularly to talk a little bit about my research, which might not be directly linked to optics, but in a way or so, always data is around us and it can have many applications. So I'm gonna start with, as Larry mentioned, I'm an associate professor at the Industrial Engineering Department, and I'm part of the faculty of the bioengineering program here at UPR Mayagüez. And I'm gonna start talking a little bit about myself and my beginnings. So I am Puerto Rican. I'm born and raised in Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, this city where our university is located actually. Since I started my school years, I was passionate about science and math, particularly everything that had to do with mathematics. And then being born and raised in Mayagüez is the legacy of being in an engineering college town. So I was always looking forward to start my career on that. I'm a product of the public school system, and I'm always very proud to say that because I really had really good science and mathematics teachers that really pushed me to go beyond the opportunities that every student had. And when I say this, is I participated of tons of programs, math competitions, a lot of, they call it afternoon programs or extracurricular programs. But it is because of those teachers, and they were male teachers, since we are, talking about women in STEM. I think these role models or motivators at our early beginnings for me were the science and math teachers, which were commonly male. And now I know that has changed, but they really inspired me and motivated me to go forward. And as a first generation college graduate, I mean, you can see here my family, my sister, my parents, and my nephews. My parents just completed high school and they went to work. My mom is a stay-home mom, so she raised us throughout all our years. So we really didn't have knowledge about college, doctor's degrees or engineering degrees if it wasn't for this involvement with the teachers in our school. So I'm very grateful for that. Something that I really gather from my family and my parents is their perseverance and the hard work, which I think is essential for the success in this area in STEM. So I'm a graduate, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. So I'm coming back to my alma mater. I did my bachelor's in industrial engineering in 2003. And at that moment, I remember trying to decide what to do next. And I think this question, everyone has it. What is the right path? At the moment, I already signed an offer with a pharmaceutical company, but I really had this interest to become a professor in the future. And there was on this visit, and I want to share this because I was ready to just go directly to industry after my bachelor's, but there was this visit about grad schools in my department in that April term, almost finishing my degree. And that opened up the possibilities of the things that I wanted to do. And I really wanted to go to grad school. So at that moment, in few weeks, I started to doing everything last minute, actually, which I do not recommend to anyone. But since I'm sharing the story, I think applying to grad school requires a lot of preparation. But I had the opportunity to go to and do my master's at the Industrial Engineering Department at the University of South Florida. And coming from a very traditional industrial engineering bachelor and going into grad school, it opened up a lot of possibilities in the area of bioinformatics. And I'm going to talk a little bit and how do I end up working in research in data science and bioinformatics. And it was actually of the opportunities that I had as a master's student at the University of South Florida, where they actually have the Moffitt Research Cancer Center. So I had a lot of research projects there that open up this new field. Then I did my PhD at Arizona State. In there, it was very multidisciplinary. I actually had 2 co-chairs, one from industrial engineering and one from the Biodesign Institute, actually an electrical engineer. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about my research there, but it became very interdisciplinary. The projects that I was getting involved with, they had a lot of impact to the human health, which for me was very important, particularly to motivate me to keep, and earn that PhD degree. After my completion of the PhD, I went to do a 2-year postdoc, the Bioinformatics and Computational Biology Department at MD Anderson. One of the most productive experiences. I remember people asking me, why do you want to go and do a postdoc? Because for engineering, it was not very common. You can go straight to do an academic position after your PhD. But for me, I wanted to have that experience, the translational aspect of impacting human health. And when I got the opportunity to be at a hospital and be at a research center that had a lot of the data that I was working on with for patients that were treated there, it really inspired me and motivated me to go further into that area. And I knew I needed that. I needed to go and explore new areas to what I wanted to do for my career. After that, I taught as a lecturer at ASU, Arizona State, for a year. And then in 2014, I became a professor here at the University of Puerto Rico. Just a little bit of my timeline. In terms of the things that I have worked with, all my grad school has been statistical analysis related to human health, particularly with the boom of the gene expression in that 2003, there's the boom of a lot of data gathered, highly dimensional heterogeneous data sets in need to be able to extract knowledge from it. So I work on that, and then I extended that through my dissertation, which I focus more on integration of different multi-omics data sets at the bulk and at the single cell data. And I also work a little bit with imaging as well. And for my postdoc, so I really went more into more software engineering, more program coding, more software development for a project called the TCGA, the Cancer Genome Atlas, which was very productive. And as you can see, I just want to say something that Drive, I chose institutions that had really good weather or hot weather. So I'm a Puerto Rican, I'm a Caribbean girl. So it's part of the decisions that I made in my career, took into account that, but also looking into the best programs for the things that I wanted to do. And when they asked me to give out this presentation, they asked me to maybe share experiences or things that could be useful for people that are towards that career path. And when I thought about success tips, I really like quotes. And this quote by Maya Angelou, so success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. So really understanding yourself and making sure that you're working on something that you are really passionate about is the key to be successful in whatever you aim to do in a STEM career, in an academic position. At least for me, has been like that. And I know we struggle with understanding what we really want to do. But the more you know yourself, the more you know what you like, more successful you're going to be, because you're going to put all that energy into that. Things that have worked for me, obviously working really hard, which I mean, I really love another quote, nothing worth ever comes easy, by Theodore Roosevelt. And I think that is true. A lot of the successes or the achievements that you're gonna get, they are gonna come through a lot of work, and you are actually gonna really value that. Something that I wish I was told before entering grad school is failure is okay. You can learn from their failures, just keep trying. Don't be afraid to fail. There's a lot of opportunities, and also from failures, there's a lot of doors that can open, and you can understand things that don't work, and you understand yourself as well. Well, this didn't work because I didn't like, or this didn't work because I didn't try this. So just make sure that it's okay to fail, and that keep working towards that. The third, which I think is super important, and I put a couple of pictures of people that have supported me throughout my career, is you need to build a support group. You need to have your mentors in and outside of your area that can help you leverage all the information that you're getting and how to grow. For me, obviously, my family, when I was doing my PhD, having very international group of people, I really learned a lot from them, and then we supported each other. And I think that's very important, to find that group of people that are cheering you on, because research, everything is bad, right? No, this doesn't work. But that you need to reward yourself, or you need to keep around people that reward yourself. When you publish your paper, you did a presentation, those things that are the steps towards success or being successful. And then I want to share that as a woman and as associate professor at the industrial engineering department, our department has around 20 professors, and about half of them are women. And for me in particular, that has had an impact on my career because of the support that I get from them, the role models that I have, and that I have people that I can ask them about processes that I might not understand. Like, for example, when I was going through my tenure, being able to ask people that went through, and having females that have that perspective was very useful. So it's great to have that support system. And be you, and because you need to be passionate to be successful in this, and you need to define what your success is for you, as long as you're happy with what you're doing. So that would be things that have worked for me. And I wanted to share, when I have done these kind of seminars in the past, is they're especially for women. I think this happens to everyone, but especially for women in STEM, is this imposter syndrome, like not feeling enough, or when we get rewarded, not feeling that we really earn it. And I want to share a couple of experiences which I wanted to handle better if I had more mentoring or more experience. But for example, as a woman and a minority in this area, there could be microaggressions. And for those that might not know, that is something that that is still based on your race or ethnicity, to make you kind of a comment. And I'm gonna share, for example, I had several mentors throughout my graduate studies. I'm not gonna say which one in particular, but I had a mentor. I had one of those mental breakdowns when you do not see that the topic is what I wanted to do. I really wanted to change the area. I really wanted to do something else because I was not passionate about what I was working on. And I remember my mentor, a male professor, he wanted to make me feel good. But then he said, do not worry, you are a woman, underrepresented minority in STEM. You'll do great because you'll have a lot of opportunities. And at the point, he's a great guy, okay? At the point, he wanted to make me feel good so I do not give up on the topic that I was working on. But when he said that, it made me feel that I was getting opportunities just because I was a woman and an underrepresented. And then it comes, and that involves the imposter syndrome. And I guess at the point, at that time, I didn't say anything, obviously, he was my mentor. But I think as a woman, I think, or if you know someone that has told that to that person, I think we need to let them know, maybe I know you're trying to make them feel better, but using those words might not be the best. So that's something that happened to me, and I remember because we want to be empowered, inspired, and encouraged by the work that we do, not just because we are women and underrepresented. And another experience with another mentor, another male mentor, and I'm not saying this because they are male mentors. Female mentors to female mentees can be very harsh on each other. On this one in particular, I remember as of now, I was in the elevator, I was finishing the term of my research in that institution. And this person tells me, okay, you are so kind, you are so good. I hope you get to administrative positions that allows you to do that, right? And then he said, because we have this person, this female lead, which is very mean and he used some words that were not very descriptive or positive. And what I got from that, and I didn't say anything, but what I got from that is sometimes women have to be, and I don't say this in general, but to get to those positions is tough, particularly leading administrative position, which we need more women into so they can hear our perspective. When they are seen as mean, if it was a male, it's like they are assertive, because they see women that we need to be motherly and we need to be nurturing. So I've seen that as well, that just because of our gender, we might not be treated equally. And as I said, it just mentioned, I don't think they say these things in a bad way. It just comes, I don't know, naturally. That's why they're called microaggressions. But making them aware that this can have an impact on how the woman might perceive it is important. The other thing is negotiating. I think this might be hard for everyone in particular, but when, for example, when it is enough to graduate, particularly when you're trying to, go on with your career, and then you are in a very productive lab, how do you talk? How do you have those conversations? And that's actually very hard. And for example, with my PhD chair, because of how interdisciplinary my research was, he wanted to make sure that the industrial engineering component and contributions were there. And I was there for 5 years, and I had a master's. So when we got to this conversation, the leverage that I was able to use is I have 4 papers published. So I think having this notion of productivity early on might be able to allow you to negotiate better these tough conversations that you are gonna have. So for me, when it's enough, knowing that you are productive, particularly presentations and publications in particular, that allow me to do that negotiation better. And lastly, we often sell ourselves short when it comes to job offers. And I think this is where I wish I had a better, more people in the academic field that will give me more information on how to do this better. when you get these offers for postdocs or for PhD, if you have a leverage to negotiate. So just make sure that to have that support system. And this imposter syndrome will always be there. I don't think we are ever gonna get rid of that. I think we need to know to make sure that what we are doing, if we are passionate about, it's good, it's enough. And when people are telling you this is great work, that you believe it, because sometimes we sometimes are the biggest critic. So just make sure that you pat yourself in the back. You're doing great work. This is not easy for everyone. So and now I'm gonna transition into my research, and I end up this part of the tips of experiences to be open to possibilities. As I mentioned, an industrial engineer that in grad school discovered bioinformatics, all about data science, and how to apply it to this area, to human health. I started in that 2003, 2004. Bioinformatics was a buzzword. Right now, if you talk to anything in research, the buzzword is data science, data analytics. And I really like this, how the buzzword can change funding strategies, or how do you brand yourself for research. If we look at what is bioinformatics and what is data science, in an essence is very similar. It's just the bioinformatics focuses on a domain knowledge that is mainly biology. So just take into account as well about how over time these buzzwords in research are important to use well for your grants, for your projects. And right now I can tell you, if you love data science, this field has tons of opportunities in many applications, because we are making decisions based on data, right? But having more data doesn't mean I have more knowledge. And this, at some point, particularly in bioinformatics, the limitation was that we couldn't gather a lot of data. And the notion was, with more data, we're gonna know more. But the more data we started generating with many of the instruments that the optic community, because I know you guys have a lot of contributions into generating these technologies, the more information we got, that doesn't necessarily translate into more knowledge. And that's actually what I like to work on. And I work most of my projects from the systems engineering perspective. And understanding if how good is your data to be able to translate it to information. Because garbage in, garbage out, if you, for some reason, and you know this as researchers, your data was not well collected, then your inference are not gonna be good.
Wandaliz, we have 2 minutes more for.
Okay, thank you, Larry, for that.
You're welcome.
So I'm not gonna go into all the details of the bioinformatics, but there's tons of applications, a lot of applications that I've been able to work throughout the years. Basically, the technology has allowed to measure at very different levels of the genomics of the molecular biology, to be able to make inference of what's happening right now. I focus more on the data mining processes of that, a lot of the analytics and the machine learning. The data, it's rich, it's heterogeneous, it's diverse, it's complex. And most of these projects, which I like to do, is interdisciplinary. They are important questions that we need to solve, but we need to manage the scalability and the computational feasibility of many of these things. Because of the current methods that we have. So here are some of the projects that I have worked with throughout my career. I want to end, I had some projects that I wanted to touch bases, but I wanted to end with one project on cellular therapies, and how machine learning, design of experiment and machine learning is allowing to generate those critical quality attributes and critical process parameters to be able to know when we are manufacturing these living products, because these are the cellular therapies are living products, that these have the characteristics that are needed when we put them into the patients. So this is a project that I've been working on with some partner institutions. And with that, I'm gonna leave some time for questions. I just wanna say data science is everywhere, particularly for this group. I know there's a lot of work on mining the optics, right? Data from optics, and there's a lot of possibilities. And with that, if you guys have any questions, I end up my talk. Here's my group, most of them undergraduates right now.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wandaliz. So if there is any question, we can take at least 1 or 2 minutes for that. So in the Q&A panel, someone have a question can go there and put the question, and for sure, Dr. Wandaliz will be happy to answer that.
Oh, I have a question. Well, first of all, thank you, Professor, for very enlightening presentation, and it was very good that you were focusing on also in the experience in women's and giving some tips, some advices. And this is very important because, well, we know that today in many other fields, not only in science and academic, many women are they are suffering some types of discriminations and so on. So thank you for that. Well, my question is more oriented to our topic, which is optics. And well, first of all, because I took a course with Professor Wandaliz, we know that a microarray is a laboratory tool used to detect the expression of thousands of genes at the same time. And fluorescence has been the preferred choice for data quantification in biomedical macroarrays formats. Now, could you explain us briefly what is that and the information obtained from the luminescence analysis in microarrays analysis? Just to, because I remember that this is one of the optics applications in bioinformatics. So
yes,
yep.
Yes, definitely, Diego. I don't have maybe a picture that can depict this. For microarrays, they were used for, and they've been used still, but they've been used for a long time for the gathering the expression of proteins and also of genes and proteins. And knowing what is expressed will tell us about what's probably gonna happen or what's happening, depending on the level that we are measuring. And the way these microarrays work, they are designed with tags of genomic sequences that are gonna bind specifically to certain regions of the genome. So when they design these microarrays with this particular, sequences, and then when you work on your sample and you denature it, and then you extract the messenger RNA, and then you push those pieces that are denatured, push them into the microarray, they are gonna hybridize. If they are gonna bind to those specific regions, then you might be able to count. But how are you gonna count it? When you prepare your mixture or your sample, you use some tag or some fluorescence stack, right? And then that sample that has a fluorescence tag, if it binds specifically to a region in the microarray, when you go through that machinery, or and here comes the optics, right? That laser or that machinery that push light through it to try to measure the fluorescence. And if there are more tags in that region, that means more of those sequences bind to that specific sequence. So it's kind of a measure of an imaging, right? They measure the fluorescence based on an imaging. More fluorescent means more expression. I don't know if that kind of gives an overview of that.
Oh, yes, totally, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah.